Greetings everyone, my name is Dr. Jason Freeman. I'd like to welcome you onto my channel. In this video I'll be reviewing the 2024 film Alien Romulus. I'm going to tell you what I like about the film, I'm going to tell you what I don't like about the film, then I'm going to tell you why I think you should see the film or just skip it. So, without further ado, let's begin. Alright, so what did I like about the film? Well, the first thing I absolutely loved about the film was that its look captured the feel and the style of the earlier movies. Now, I haven't seen Alien 3, but definitely the first two, so Alien and Aliens, were classic films. I've seen them, I love them. And so the way that the film looks throughout, especially when they're on Romulus, the ship Romulus or the station Romulus, it is absolutely, it takes you back to those films. So the best way I can describe it is I think about like Star Trek The Next Generation, which is a show I grew up on, and it's really like bright and clean and very much has a much, I would say, a softer, more vibrant feel, where the Alien franchise was the opposite. Very dark, very gritty, very dirty, and so that's what this film captures. It takes you back to those original films. Now, I'm pretty sure the original films used models for the space scenes, and I don't know if they did that here, but it definitely looked like it. And again, it's not necessarily the most shiny, pretty spaceships, but it did take you back and made you feel like, okay, so this is happening at the same time as these other films. And there is a specific time that this is happening in relation to the first two films. And so it very much convinces me watching it that this could be from or is from that time. And speaking of the look, some of the shots in this film are absolutely amazing. So the cinematographer for Alien Romulus is Cailee Alvarez, and he did a damn good job. I mean, I can't say too much without spoiling some stuff, but there are some space scenes, there are some scenes within corridors that just lock you in. Like, you're looking at this amazing shot and it's like, oh my god. And I even remarked that as I'm watching the film, like, this shot is amazing. And so you can kind of tell they took their time with this, that they put a lot of effort into this. This was not slapped together like some other films I recently reviewed. And so yeah, this was an amazingly shot film. So the next thing I liked about the film was its tense atmosphere. This was a scary film. Like, this was a film I'm putting my hand, because I don't know what's gonna come out and what's going to happen next. But there was definitely some jump scares. Not as many as I thought. I thought it was gonna be more jump scary, especially being an Alien franchise. But the few that were there were definitely impactful. Come on! I think it's been established that the xenomorphs are pretty intelligent predators. They have human DNA, being that they're how they're birthed, and so they do have some level of awareness, some level of intelligence, and that's very much, on screen in this film. They are menacing partially because of their intelligence. They're not necessarily dumb. They know how to hunt humans. They're partially human, based on kind of getting the DNA and being birthed from humans. So yeah, the xenomorphs were scary. The face huggers. The face huggers were genuinely scary. They were a menacing part of this film. Obviously, the face huggers jump on you. They implant the alien, embryo or what have you, and the alien grows in you and comes out of your chest. And so the face huggers were a threat, and they very much, they added to the tension of the film. Now, there are other elements that also cause tension that I can't talk about because of it would be spoiling key aspects of the film. One other positive, though, along those lines is that the trailer does not give away some key things about this movie that I'm actually happy it does not, because it was a pleasant surprise to see them in the film. Be careful on YouTube. There's some clowns up here that will spoil stuff just because. But yeah, so the tension, is caused by, the face huggers, the xenomorphs, but also there's some other elements that cause tension too. And overall, I enjoyed that tense, scary experience. I hope you're enjoying the video, but before we go any further, I just want to quickly shout out my Patreon page, Dr. Jason Freeman Reacts. On the page, I have full, unedited reactions from movies such as the classic 1995 film, Dead Presidents, and the 2020 film, A Quiet Place Part 2. I also have reactions for entire seasons of shows, including Season 2 of House of the Dragon, and the first season of Doctor Who on Disney Plus, starring Ncuti Gatwa and Millie Gibson. And for those of you who purchase my highest tier, you'll be receiving a few tokens of my appreciation, including a mug, a tote bag, and some clothing with a Diaspora Dispatch logo designed by yours truly. To get access to all this, just go to my Patreon page and sign up for one of the tiers. You can find a link for it in the description of this video, or just type patreon.com/DRJASONFREEMAN. Thank you for listening. Now back to the video. And the last thing that I will say I liked about the film was the relationship between the two main characters. So there are two siblings. Again, I'm trying to remember back with the trailer if they revealed that they were siblings, but there are two siblings in this movie, and you'll know who they are from the beginning, who are looking out for each other. And very much they were the heart of the film, and I loved that relationship. It seemed genuine. It seemed very much caring, that they were kind of relying on each other, and so that really was kind of an anchor. And there's some really interesting things they do with that relationship, they do with that dynamic throughout the film is very creative. And so yeah, that was one thing that really kind of anchored me and made me really love not just watching the film, but kind of the journey of the film and where it was going, because it wasn't necessarily just people that you hate. That's the one thing about, again, the Borderlands film that I reviewed. Like, I didn't like any of the characters really, and this one I liked some of them, and I'll talk about that with the things I don't like about the film, but definitely there was the ones I liked, I cared about, and it was really interesting on that journey, in particular those two siblings. So what didn't I like about the film? Well, one thing I didn't like about the film was they created this kind of artificial tension with some of the other people. I mentioned the siblings, but there's other people in the group. And as you can see on the trailer, they're on the space station, the aliens are there, you know, people start dying. That's kind of nature of these films. And so they would create little things, like there was one character that was being especially a jerk, and they gave a reason for it that I thought was kind of silly and stupid. And so it's like, I get what you're doing there, but it's just annoying, and it just wasn't necessary, the way they had that set up. And there were other little things here and there. The way that some of these other characters who were not the siblings were written wasn't that great. But I would say all in all, because I love the tension of the film, because I love the scariness, I let all that go as I was watching it. So it didn't affect my watching experience. But just looking back on it, that was something that wasn't that great. The other thing that I didn't care for was at the very beginning of the film, it's very much a slow burn. And I've done a ton of these reviews, and that's one of my critiques, is that you get kind of bored in certain aspects of the film. So it's like slow, 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 and then stuff happens, and then it's over. And so this was very much that same thing. The first part of the film, third to a half, there's not much going on. They set up what's happening. They set up the scenario where the aliens are gonna kill people. But it's very much that first part is like, man, if you cut this part out and make it like a, you know, make it a much shorter film, let's say like I don't know, like an hour film, I would have enjoyed it the same. I probably would have enjoyed it a little bit more, because you cut out that first part and now we're into the action immediately. Obviously you can't do that. It's a 2-hour film. It didn't need to be 2 hours. It was too long. But and so basically, if you cut off a big chunk of the first one, I think the film does improve. It's a good film. I like the film, but for the most part, that first part was so slow that it got a bit boring at times. And I'm like, can't we just get to the aliens? When are they gonna show up? I want to see the aliens. And the last thing that I didn't like about the film, well, I'll say it like this: it's a mixed bag. I like the classic film, the feel of the film, that they went back and pulled from some older stuff. They pulled from some older, like the older, especially the first two movies. I again haven't seen the third, so I'm sure they pulled from there too. I just don't know what they pulled. But the thing is, there were some aspects of nostalgia that was a little bit too much. In particular, there was one line in the film, and you'll know what it is when you see it, that was pulled from a previous film, and I'm like, that doesn't work. That just doesn't work. And it's another nostalgia element that if I said what it would spoil a big part of the film, but it looks weird. It just looks weird. I mean, it serves its purpose. It builds tension, but it just looks weird. But that's how they. I don't know if they could have done any better, but the way they did it, it takes you out a little bit of the film. And again, it's one of those things. I wish I could say what it was, but I can't because it would spoil part of the film. And so yeah, and it's linked to. I'll say it's linked to nostalgia. It's linked to something that we've seen in previous films. It just looks weird. And actually, sorry, I got one more thing I liked. I left it out. I mentioned it in my out of the theater review. The body horror / gore in this film is top notch. I mean, when you think about the previous Alien film, there's always those scenes that stick with you. Like they're really, like in Prometheus, there is the cesarean section. Yes, the C-section scene. I'm trying to make sure it wasn't a different one. The C-section scene where they're taking the thing out of the woman. I think the main character. And there is a scene in this that's comparable, if not worse, in regards to like gore. Like not, it's very gnarly watching it, but it's something to watch. But that's what you go to these films for. You go to the film to see something bust out of somebody's chest. You go to the films to see something rip through somebody's face. Like that's all there, and that's all very satisfying. So if that's what you're going for, the gore, yeah, and that was definitely a positive for me. So you see this film or just skip it? See the film. Like I do that. I do this every because that's the thing. You build up, and there's definitely films that is pretty obvious, or it's less obvious if it's a good or bad film. But as you've seen, you heard me. I love this film. I just saw a film I didn't like, and so that probably affected my level of enjoyment for this. So I enjoyed it even more because I just saw something that I thought I might like that I totally didn't like. But this one, I was excited. Like I love the Alien films. Aliens is one of my favorite films of all time. I love how the Marines go in there all cocky, and that cockiness goes away. They don't really have that in this film. They do have fights and guns. Again, you see it in the trailer. But very much this Aliens kind of is almost like the perfect type of one of these films, perfect version. And this is a close second. Again, I'm missing that in the out of the theater reaction. This is a close second. This is definitely, to me, the tension and some of the elements makes it better than the first film. And it does have that same look. So I think you can actually compare them. So this is a better version of the first film. But at the same time, it doesn't really capture some of what made the second one, so Alien, so great. But watch it, see it. You can watch it, and I think they do. I mean, I think somewhere I did see where they talked about the order of the film, where it lies within the timeline. So I would say, if you're gonna rewatch the Aliens films, or do it like this way, rewatch the first one, then go watch this one on the theater, if you're going to, let's say, going out this evening, or if you don't watch the first one, that's fine. I didn't either. And then watch the third one, because they really work together. But then also, it is part of a trilogy with Prometheus and Alien Covenant. And I don't necessarily know if you have to watch, I watched Covenant right before I watched this one. And honestly, I don't think I had to. It definitely got me. I like Covenant. I know some people didn't. I like Covenant. This is way better than Covenant in my opinion. And so, yeah, so if if you've seen Prometheus and Covenant, I think it's fine. If you don't, I think that's fine as well. I will go back and rewatch the first and second films, Aliens. Though again, as I mentioned, watch Alien first, watch this one, then watch Aliens, and they do work together. And I'll stop there. If you found this review interesting and or informative, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. Also, please share this video. And if there are other sci-fi films you want me to review on this channel, please leave those suggestions in the comment section below. Thank you all for your time and have a wonderful rest of your day.